Hello and welcome to another episode of Market Track with Abuzar. We put September behind us now and into the beginning of October. We want to take a look at all the numbers, real estate, residential, freehold, condominiums. And for this episode, what I've done is I've added rentals. So for those investors who want to know the number of days a home rental sits on the market, the prices and everything else, we've added this segment. Again, it's a bit general, but it will give you an idea. So stay tuned. All right, so as always, we'll start off with the new listings and looking at the residential and condominium numbers, comparing 2019 to 2020. We'll take a look at the weeks that are we've put behind us. We're into, I guess, we just finished week 39 now, and looking at the fluctuation in the number of new listings for condos and residential freehold. So we're seeing that we're on the climb. So that's a good thing. Now, one thing to remember is when we're comparing the fluctuation between the 2 years, last year and this year, we got to remember that the seasons or the seasonal activities need to be considered, because normally around August we have people traveling for vacation, and then school starts around September, and whether it's an election year or not, things like this will make an impact, and the seasons as well. So normally what we would have is when we got into closer to winter, things would settle a bit, and then closer to spring, everything would start going again. But because of the number of weeks or the delay in the market activity due to COVID, and the fact that people aren't traveling and so on, this has an impact. So we are seeing again a gradual movement, and the numbers are setting in place. So this is something to consider when we're looking at these numbers. So there are sharp ins and outs, but that's because of the way it's I guess getting to a point where it's settling down or balancing itself, if you want to say. So then we'll take a look at the sold properties by week for both residential and condominiums. So again, as I said, these are basically sharp drops it's because of the weekly. If you take a look at it, months by months, you see more of you won't see as much of a drop in instances, because there's more data to consider. But we are seeing that the number of sales have reduced compared to last year, but still much higher than what it was a year ago. Looking at the average sale for both residential and condominiums, it seems to be going steady above last year, and this is basically for both residential condominiums. We'll get into the depth into each just to give you an idea, but that's the average for both up and until the end of week 39. And the average sale price by week, residential only. So similar to what seemed to be the movement of what it was last year for 2019, seems to be really taking shape as to what it was before for residentials, and a gradual fluctuation, as I said before. And then we take a look at the condominiums. Now, for condos, it's more of a delicate situation, because, for condos, based on this, the location of the condominium, the type of the condo units, whether new or old, all those make an impact on the average sale price, condominium fees, and so on. Okay, so now let's get into each category. First off, looking at the residential, active listings, number of active listings, and number of sales for September of 2020 versus September 2019. And looking here, the number of active listings were 819, and the number of sales 1,194. And this is just, the gap is huge. You can see how low we are on inventory in the residential freeholds. Whereas looking at September 2019, it was vice versa, where the number of active listings was 1,227 versus 772. Again, we try to be accurate as possible, but considering, again, as I mentioned, the seasonal fluctuation, it seems to be non-valid with this COVID period that we're having. So again, we are seeing low inventory, but at the same time, this seasonal aspect should be considered. So that's that. So taking a look at the residential, the close price to original price, or the sold price to original price, and September to September, we're seeing 106% to the list price, and whereas it was the 100% for September. So basically, a property listed for 500,000 sold very close to asking, 500,000 for 2019, whereas now where we've gone above the list price. Taking a look at residential days on the market. So for September 2020, on average, we're looking at 11 days for homes sitting on the market until they sell, whereas it was almost twice that last year for 22 days. Goes back to the type of property, location. If the property needs work, it'll stay longer on the market. A lot of things considered. Okay. Now going into condominiums, the active listings and the number of sales. So for condos at the moment, looking at September, the September numbers, the active listings were actually more than the solds. And this gap was much more looking at September 2019, where the active listings was 524, and the solds were 416. So not really the same as residential freeholds for condominiums, but even the gap of the active listings and sold listings is really shrinking. And it might actually surpass. Now, looking at the months before, for July and August for the condominiums, we can see that the number of sales in July, for example, surpassed, and there was a lack of inventory. Whereas, it sort of changed around in August, and more gap, and then the gap is again closing in. So we are again getting that balance. Things are sorting out, and everything considered with COVID, the activity that's been happening, the number of people getting sick, a lot of things considered. So going to the condominium, the sold price versus the original price ratio, looking at September, were pretty much similar to what it was last year. So the units are selling very close to asking. So that's a very good thing. Condominiums, average days on the market for September, we're looking at 16 days. This is still very positive for condominiums. 16 days on average for days on the market for September, whereas it was 30 days. So really similar to residential, the number of days on the market has pretty much cut in half for both categories. Now our new category that we decided to, we wanted to talk about, the rentals. Looking at the rentals now, just wanted to give you this on the rentals, to look at each criteria or each type of rentals in a separately is the ideal way of doing it. But this is the whole rental market. So considering Ottawa, and whether the home is a detached, townhouse, or condominiums. A few things to note for those who have or own condominium investment property, rental properties. In certain areas, we're seeing a lack of activity, and that's because of dealing or businesses dealing with COVID at the moment, especially businesses that operated out of downtown, similar such as Shopify and others. So they've basically closed up shop. Everyone's working remote, and this is impacted the rental market in a sense that a lot of their employees now, they really don't need to be living downtown anymore. So now they're relocating to other areas, and we're having longer days for units sitting on the market, and this has somewhat actually impacted the prices as well. So units that might have rented for $2,000 a few months ago, now you're looking about a $200 drop. Now, this is something that is area specific. This doesn't go for all condominiums. So it's really depending on the location. And for downtown, this is what we're seeing currently. But they are renting. I think this number of average rental days that I'm going to show you, it still falls. It's in a good position, but the prices have been impacted, I could say, for those certain areas. And again, I have to re-indicate that the type of property or the buildings, whether it's a new build or older build, these are all factors. So looking at the rental September, the active listings was 401, and the number of rented units 291 versus September of last year. Again, fewer listings and fewer rented units, but 303 active listings and 197. So the gap has grown slightly for the actives and these rented units, but not so much. Now, looking at the days on the market, as I discussed before, slightly higher, not a significant difference. So we're pretty much the same things as it was before. 24 days for a rental unit for a potential tenant to be found, and 21 days comparing to September 2019. So not a significant difference here, but again, for certain areas, we are seeing that they have basically been impacted. Now, residential freeholds are safer because of the considering you have to as a investor pay for condominium fees per month, mortgage as well, and taxes. So residential freeholds are a bit safer because you have control over that, or you don't have that condo fee. Now, considering the building is well managed, that's a whole different story. The condo fees are kept low, so it really goes back to the builder, the way the management or the corporation is managed by the board of director, the treasurer, and everything else. So that's basically it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions at all regarding a specific type of property, specific category, whether you want to know only about residential freeholds, detached homes, row units, semi-detached, and anything to do with condominiums, as well as the rentals that we discussed, I'm only a text, email, or phone call away. Feel free, don't be shy, and please remember to like this video and to subscribe. Until next time.